If you've ever thought, why do I keep attracting narcissists? This is for you. You're kind, intuitive, spiritually sensitive. You want to see the best in people. And yet, again and again, you end up with partners, friends, even family members who drain you, gaslight you, and make you question your own reality. You're not cursed. You're not broken. You're not too sensitive. You are what many call a chosen one, someone with heightened awareness, deep empathy, and a soul level mission to bring more light into the world. And that light is exactly what narcissists are obsessed with. In this video, we're going to break down why chosen ones are like magnets for narcissists, what's really happening spiritually and psychologically, and how these stories almost always end once you finally wake up. Stay with me, because when you understand the pattern, you stop playing the role, you stop feeding the narcissist, and you start choosing you. Before we dive in, let's set the stage. When I say chosen one, I don't mean someone better than others or some ego title. I'm talking about people who feel different, deeply sensitive, spiritually awake or awakening, the ones who ask big questions, feel energy intensely, and can't just numb out like everyone else seems to. On the other side, we have narcissists, not just people who take too many selfies, but individuals whose entire identity is built on needing admiration, controlling their image, and avoiding shame at all costs. They feed off attention and emotional reactions like a battery. Put those two together, a soul full of empathy and a person starving for validation, and you get a powerful, often painful, magnetic dynamic. In this video, we'll explore why you attract them, what they see in you, why you stay longer than you should, and how the story ends when you finally reclaim your power. Let's start with the core pattern. Light attracts moths. Spiritually, chosen ones carry a high frequency, compassion, authenticity, intuition. You're the person strangers vent to. You feel people's pain. You see their potential even when their behavior is destructive. That energy is like a lighthouse. Narcissists, on the other hand, are deeply disconnected from their true selves. Their sense of worth is fragile and externally sourced. When they encounter someone radiant, grounded, and caring, they don't just feel drawn in, they see opportunity. Your empathy promises endless emotional supply, understanding, forgiveness, second chances. Your spirituality offers them an image upgrade. If someone like you loves them, they must be good. At a subconscious level, they think this person can fix me, fill me, worship me. So the attraction is not random. It's energetic. Your natural giving collides with their unconscious hunger. The question is not why they're drawn to you, it's why your light doesn't yet know how to filter who gets access. To really understand this dynamic, we have to go back, often to childhood. Many chosen ones grew up in homes where love was conditional. You were valued when you were helpful, quiet, high achieving, or emotionally self sufficient. Maybe you had a narcissistic or emotionally immature parent. As a child, you learned, if I take care of other people's feelings, I'm safe. If I shine in just the right way, I get love. You became hyper attuned to moods, needs, unspoken rules. That's not just empathy, that's survival. Fast forward to adulthood. A narcissist comes along and unconsciously recognizes that programming. They sense you'll overgive, overlook red flags, and personalize their behavior. You, in turn, feel a strange familiarity. The drama, the intensity, the emotional highs and lows. It feels like chemistry, but it's actually a trauma echo. This early wiring is why so many chosen ones confuse self-sacrifice with love and chaos with passion. Narcissists slip right into that script. One of the reasons narcissists target chosen ones is your capacity for projection, but in a very specific way. You don't just see what someone is doing, you see who they could be. You sense their wounded inner child, their untapped potential, their higher self. So when a narcissist love bombs you, grand declarations, intense connection, future plans, it seems to match what you already feel they're capable of. You think they're just hurt. With enough love and understanding, they'll step into their true self. From their side, this is gold. They can show you a curated highlight reel. and you'll fill in the missing pieces with your imagination and spiritual insight. You confuse potential with pattern. Narcissists don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with your reaction to them. Meanwhile, you're falling in love with who you believe they could become, not who they consistently are. That mismatch is the hook that keeps you stuck. Let's talk about the spiritual side because many chosen ones are on a conscious awakening path. Energetically, narcissists function like cords or leeches. They can't generate stable self-worth from within, so they plug into others, your attention, your admiration, even your outrage. You may notice that after interacting with them, you feel drained, confused, or ungrounded, while they seem oddly energized. That's not your imagination. They thrive on emotional charge, positive or negative. Your high vibration empathy becomes their power source. On a soul level, some believe this is also a kind of contract. The narcissist mirrors back your unhealed wounds, your need to be chosen, your fear of abandonment, your belief that you must earn love. They expose the parts of you that still lack boundaries. This doesn't excuse abuse, but it does give you power, because once you recognize the energetic transaction, you can consciously unplug. You can choose to stop being the charger for someone else's broken battery. Psychologically, this relationship forms what's known as a trauma bond. It's the cycle of idealization, devaluation, and discard. At first, you're put on a pedestal. You're my soulmate. No one's ever understood me like you. You feel seen, chosen, almost destined. Then come the subtle shifts, backhanded comments, inconsistencies, blaming, shifting goalposts. Your nervous system, conditioned from childhood, thinks, if I just try harder, we can get back to how it was. So you double down on empathy, explanation, spiritualizing their behavior. When they finally withdraw, punish, or discard you, the pain is brutal. But the moment they reappear with crumbs of affection, you feel massive relief. That relief floods your brain with dopamine and oxytocin, cementing the bond. Chosen ones often misread this intense push-pull as proof of a deep connection, when it's actually proof of deep nervous system dysregulation. It's not chemistry, it's conditioning plus manipulation. Narcissists are extremely good at spotting specific traits in chosen ones. First, radical empathy. You instinctively try to understand why someone behaves badly, often more than you look at what they actually do. Second, a rescuer identity. You feel purposeful when you're helping, healing, or holding space. Third, spiritual bypassing. Because you think in terms of soul lessons and past wounds, you may excuse harmful behavior as their trauma or their shadow work while neglecting your own safety. Fourth, difficulty with boundaries. Saying no feels mean, pulling away feels unloving. To a narcissist, these traits scream, you can cross my lines and I'll blame myself. They won't say that out loud, but they test it. Small lies, broken promises, dismissive comments. When you minimize or over-explain, they register, permission granted. Awareness of these traits isn't about shaming yourself. It's about realizing the very qualities that make you extraordinary need protection and structure to stay sacred. So how does it usually end when a chosen one finally wakes up? It rarely starts with a dramatic confrontation. More often it begins quietly, when the story in your head no longer matches the reality in front of you. You start journaling what actually happens instead of what was promised. You track the cycles, the apologies that lead nowhere, the repeated disrespect. Your nervous system, once addicted to the roller coaster, begins craving peace over intensity. Spiritually, your frequency shifts. You stop trying to heal them and start asking, what is this relationship revealing about me? You recognize that sacrificing yourself is not divine love, it's self-abandonment. When that click happens, the power dynamic reverses. You emotionally detach before you physically leave. Their tactics, guilt, rage, love bombing 2.0, don't land the same way. The spell breaks. And that is the moment the entire contract starts to dissolve. Leaving a narcissist as a chosen one can feel like a spiritual war. The moment you pull back, they often escalate. Expect tactics, sudden love bombing, promises of change. Or, if that fails, character assassination and smear campaigns. Here's what's crucial. Their reaction is data, not destiny. If someone only respects your boundaries when it benefits them, you're not in a relationship. You're in a power arrangement. Practically, this phase requires strategy. You may need to go low contact or no contact. Document patterns, confide in grounded friends or a therapist, and resist the urge to explain your awakening to them. They're invested in confusion, not clarity. Energetically, you'll likely feel withdrawal, shaking, obsessive thoughts, longing. That's your nervous system recalibrating, not proof that you made a mistake. This is where chosen ones learn their most powerful lesson: choosing peace over potential, self respect over spiritual fantasy. Once you step out, the real work begins, breaking the pattern so you don't repeat it with a new face. First, you rebuild your relationship with reality. You practice believing behavior over words, patterns over promises. Second, you redefine love. Love is no longer intensity, chaos, and being needed. It becomes safety, consistency, and mutuality. Quiet relationships might initially feel boring because your nervous system is detoxing from drama. Third, you upgrade your boundaries. You learn that no is a complete sentence and that you're not responsible for other people's reactions to your limits. This is where many chosen ones fear they're becoming cold or selfish. In truth, you're becoming clear. Fourth, you turn your empathy inward. The same compassion you once poured into fixing others, you now pour into your own healing, inner child, and embodiment. Your light stops leaking and starts nourishing you. As you heal, something beautiful happens. Your frequency changes, and so does your attraction radar. People who once seemed magnetic now feel heavy, chaotic, or simply uninteresting. The old spark with narcissistic types starts to read as a warning sign, not a soulmate signal. You begin to notice and appreciate emotionally healthy traits: accountability, honesty, slowness, respect for your no. You might test this at first, setting a small boundary and watching how someone responds. Instead of chasing people who pull away, you lean toward those who move at a respectful pace. Spiritually, your mission as a chosen one clarifies. You realize you're not here to save individuals who refuse to do their work. You're here to embody truth, compassion, and power in your own life. Your relationships become reflections of that embodiment, not projects to prove it. Let's name the final shift. From being a source to being a sovereign, narcissists were drawn to you because you were an open well of energy with no gatekeeper. Now you become the guardian of your own field. You stop over-explaining your no. You stop auditioning for love. You stop confusing suffering with spiritual depth. You realize that your sensitivity is a gift when paired with discernment. When narcissistic people encounter this version of you, two things usually happen. They either quickly lose interest because you're no longer an easy source of supply, or they rage and attempt to shame you back into your old role. Either response confirms your decision. The story ends not with their apology or their awakening, but with yours. You close the loop when you accept that some souls are lessons, not lifetimes, and that your highest loyalty is to the light moving through you, not to those who try to possess it. Let's wrap this into a few key takeaways. First, you attract narcissists not because you're weak, but because you're wired for deep empathy and connection. That same wiring, unprotected, makes you vulnerable to people who feed on your light. Second, the pattern usually roots in childhood: conditional love, emotional immaturity, or past trauma that taught you to overfunction and underreceive. Third, narcissists are drawn to your potential, and you're drawn to theirs. You see their soul, they see your supply. The bond feels spiritual but is often a trauma loop. Fourth, the dynamic ends when you reclaim your power by honoring reality, strengthening boundaries, and choosing peace over intensity. Fifth, healing doesn't make you hard, it makes you clear. As you grow, your relationships upgrade, and narcissists naturally fall away. You are not here to be food for broken egos. You're here to embody your light, not negotiate it. If this resonated with you, don't just click away and forget it. Take one concrete step today. Pause this video and write down 3 patterns you now recognize in your past relationships with narcissists. Then one boundary you commit to honoring from now on. Maybe it's I won't explain my no more than once, or I will believe red flags the first time. Next, if you want more content on chosen ones, narcissistic dynamics, and spiritual self-protection, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future deep dives. Share this video with someone you know is stuck in a toxic cycle. Sometimes language and clarity are the first lifeline. Finally, let me know in the comments, what was your biggest aha moment from this video? Your story might be exactly what another chosen one needs to read to finally wake up. You're not a magnet for pain. You're a magnet for truth. And now you know how to guard it.